This is coming from Forbes.com. Elon Musk bites the hand that fed him by bashing California and Democrats.
There's a lot of things happening on the Elon front.
Yeah. Oopsies. Here it goes. In the weeks since Tesla CEO Elon Musk began his gambit to acquire Twitter, he's grown comfortable voicing partisan political views, usually on the social media platform he covets. Okay. You mean the one he's purchasing? Including insults aimed at California, President Joe Biden, and the libs. Musk now plans to vote Republican, he says, joining a party that derided him in the past as a crony capitalist who benefited from Democratic policies, but now sees him as an ally.
By the way, just real briefly, the fervor, or at least maybe it's died down a little bit, but for a few weeks there, the Republican Party was having a party. taking on the red team.
Well, it's, he's just saying it's a
which is
free
he's a
speech.
Mars guy, so he's got to go red, right? He can't go blue. Come on, red pill. This is the whole thing.
I do want to point out, and this is something that the media is not doing a great job of doing. Mm-hmm. He says he's going to vote Republican.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Voting Republican does not mean that you join the party.
Right.
And they're sort of talking about both as if they are synonymous with one another.
Well, he's just so powerful. He's the world's richest man. Gotta put him in the right context.
It doesn't change anything. It's erroneous to say that if you vote Republican, you're joining the Republican Party. A Democrat can vote Republican and still be in the Democratic Party.
Anything negative, the mainstream is going to paint as, or at least right now, they're trying to tie Republican to all kinds of stuff that's not Republican.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yes, it's like a very blurred thing. But
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. They're doing the same thing that they did with Great Replacement Theory, which is tie the Great Replacement Theory to established mainstream Republicanism,
right?
In a very highly effective and widespread corporate news campaign. It took 24 hours, and now everybody's convinced of it.
Right.
They're doing the same thing with Musk. He's voting Republican, so therefore he is Republican. It's the same strategy.
I'm just playing the other side with the whole take there, with the liberal kind of thinking of, well, he's not like officially a guy, but he's rich. He's so rich.
Yeah.
So he might as well be the guy.
Well, the left is they are losing their grip on the billionaires is the problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the money's flowing. I've been thinking a lot about that recently. This whole kind of shift, the Great Reset, the move from Web 2 to Web 3. Web 2 is dominated by left, liberal, whatever. Web 3 might be dominated, quote unquote, by conservative, right sort of thinking. And there's good parts to that, but there's also some downside to that too. If you're going to be honest about implementing into some kind of technology-based world, how the internet works and that kind of thing. So, I don't know. I don't want to go off on a tangent too far, but it's been on my mind a lot.
Yeah, sorry. I looked at something else. I think I may have missed the...
No, it's okay.
The crux there.
People listening got it, but you got
somebody email me. Give me a rundown of what he just said.
Well, we're operating on multiple levels here.
So I was going to skip down and read the tweet there, just so we have some context.
Which one? I'm not in the article. I only have a screenshot of the headline. So,
okay, then I'll take it. I don't know if you had anything particular you wanted to point out here, but they kind of chronicle Elon Musk's drift to the right, moving his headquarters to Texas and doing this and that. It's all quite boring. But here's the tweet. It says, In the past, I voted Democrat because they were, in parenthetical, mostly the kindness party, he tweeted Wednesday after Tesla was dropped from the S&P's ESG index. Quote,
Oh, that's
right. But they have become the party of division and hate, so I can no longer support them and will vote Republican. So that's what he said. And that does bring up another big piece of news, which was Tesla got dropped from the S&P's ESG index, which, again, was being misrepresented in a lot of articles, meaning he was dropped from the stock exchange altogether, which is not how any of that works. But the S&P's ESG index, which is kind of the gatekeeping financial grouping for the Great Reset. You got to make it into the ESG index to be available for all the big ESG investment. California bashing from naturalized American Musk.
Before we move on, that tweet, by the way, from Elon Musk, this is what it said. Exxon is rated top 10 best in world for environment, social, and governance, ESG, by S&P 500, while Tesla didn't make the list. ESG is a scam. It has been weaponized by phony social justice warrior. Yeah, so
sounds like he's been listening to the show.
It's crazy. But these it does feel like a little bit of a hijack of this sentiment. He's doing what Trump did and gobbling up a sentiment and running off of it. And remember what we said about Bezos in his fight with Biden was that the billionaires have significantly better data than the government does. Yeah. The government relies on all these think tanks that are filled with corrupt lizard people. They're dependent on these telephone polls by these old sort of legacy polling companies. And we've seen how ever since 2016, the Washington polling apparatus has pretty much led all of Washington astray. Well, now coming up on 7 years almost. Starting with, of course, all the polls that said, 90% sure that Hillary's going to win or whatever. But these billionaires, the point being that they have access to data just by means of purchasing it and not having, sort of public interest problems with purchasing data. Whereas if the government sort of like went and purchased data, they'd just get hammered by, I don't know, just Rand Paul or something. These billionaires, and this is how they stay in power, is they read, I was going to say they read the tea leaves, but they don't. They have the data. They buy the data. And we've seen both Bezos and both Bezos and Elon move with the public sentiment. And that's what they do. Who started the trend is Trump in the last decade. He started this movement of capturing this sentiment and not just profiting. It's true. What is the word? Oh, no. What is the word? The word... it was so demonized during the Trump era, the word where a politician just does whatever the people want. No, I can't believe it's gone. Help us, chat. Help me out, chat. Help me out, chat. Well, anyways, I cannot believe that I forgot the word. The word is means that they populist. Thank you, man. Populist is Adam 42 gets a prize. Populist. This idea of populism being a bad thing cropped up during the Trump administration because it's easier than ever to become a true populist because all you got to do is buy all the data, look at the data, and just do whatever the data says. What the data says is what the majority of people want. And Elon, Bezos, Trump before them. It's an incredible way to position yourself as a politician. However, it does have sort of a dystopian, technocratic sort of horror that fills me when I consider that it's that easy. Yeah. But obviously, that's what Elon's doing as well. And I'll finish up real quick. This one kind of ties the whole idea together. The billionaire's confirmation that he would invite former President Donald Trump back to Twitter after his ban for comments supporting the January 6th insurrection and lies about the 2020 election was cheered by some conservatives. Likewise, Musk's intention to make the platform welcoming for controversial views in pursuit of an absolutist view of free speech, which is not true, but okay, has boosted his popularity among outspoken politicians and commentators, including Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and Fox News's Tucker Carlson. You mean bad white supremacists is what Forbes is saying. The trifecta of Republican demons. Supports Elon, so he's a bad man. He's gone to the dark side.
Yeah, so it's in full swing. Is the long story short here?
Well,
Elon is Republican, just like the Great Replacement Theory is in full swing.
Then the ultimate proof is this story here from Business Insider.
Indeed, the big news of the day.
News of the day. Headline:
2 days, by the way, 2 days after he said he will vote Republican.
A SpaceX flight attendant said Elon Musk exposed himself and propositioned her for sex, documents show.
Of course, now that he's going to vote Republican, now the sex scandal comes out.
The company paid $250,000 for her silence. Well, then how are we hearing about it then?
Well, it's really interesting, actually. This is a fascinating. I hope we can just jam through this. Do you want to just jam through it?
It's pretty long.
I kind of have an idea of where we can jump around to get the details.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
You mind?
Then. Yeah,
I don't want to take over the show, but
it gets pretty graphic in there too. So just
I'm gonna and I trust myself to censor the graphicness. I do not trust you, Guns.
Okay, all right.
SpaceX, the aerospace firm founded by Elon Musk, the world's wealthiest man, paid a flight attendant $250,000 to settle a sexual misconduct claim against Musk in 2018, Insider has learned. The attendant worked as a member of the cabin crew on a contract basis for SpaceX's corporate jet fleet, which was a clarifying factor indeed, because when I read SpaceX flight attendant, I thought, wow, they have flight attendants on the rockets?
Right, yeah.
This is great. She accused Musk of exposing himself to her, rubbing her leg without consent. You can notice the pauses, folks, as I run the algorithms on keeping the show family friendly, and offering to buy her a horse in exchange for erotic massage, according to interviews and documents obtained by the Insider, which is already
documents.
Oh, you're going to love the documents. But offering to buy her a horse is such a hilarious detail. Now, let me be clear. Sexual harassment or assault or whatever is not funny. It's not funny. It's horrible. And it's an aspect of the fallen nature of man that is so difficult to comprehend in the frequency and horrific depth of which it takes place.
Yes. Yeah,
but you consider the fact that this is Elon Musk offering to buy a horse for a woman during a massage is there's something so quintessential about that. That I could not let it pass. The incident, which took place in 2016, is alleged in a declaration signed by a friend of the attendant and prepared in support of her claim. So a friend making the declaration. The details in this story are drawn from the declaration as well as other documents, including email correspondences and other records shared with Insider by the friend.
Okay, so let me clarify. Is the friend the one who is issuing it, or is the friend just signed off on the attendant's prepared documents?
Right. And you only learn this later, way later in the article.
Okay.
The friend is the one bringing this to the attention of the world.
Right. To the media, yes.
To the media. The woman who allegedly was propositioned by Musk is not the one doing it.
She's under NDA, correct?
She is under NDA, but that did not stop Stormy Daniels.
That's true.
So the friend who got the $250,000 is not even a part of this. This is all the victim.
Yes.
Is not the one coming out with all this.
With the story.
The friend is the one doing all of it. According to the declaration, the attendant confided to the friend that after taking the flight attendant job, she was encouraged to get licensed as a masseuse so that she could give Musk massages. It was during one such massage in a private cabin on Musk's Gulfstream G650ER, she told the friend that Musk propositioned her. Now, this paragraph, it comes with, it's got some like weird sort of sickening details in there. Again, that they do not clarify until later on in the article. Now, apparently every so SpaceX, part of their sort of business model is they had masseuses for everybody to like keep everybody, it's Silicon Valley. You got ping pong tables, you got masseuses, you got free cheeses
big screen
and the
TV
snack
and bean bags to sit on while you code.
To sit on. Yeah, exactly. This is kind of general. It's actually not that weird that SpaceX employed a lot of masseuses. And let's see here. When they said that after she took the flight attendant job, she was encouraged to get licensed as a masseuse so that she could give. No, by management.
Okay.
Of SpaceX encouraged her to get licensed as a masseuse so she could give massages on the plane.
Right.
Again, you have to sort of assume that they're not specifically for the purpose of sexual gratification.
Right. It's part of the thing that
part of the
cultural part
the
of
incentives.
The you dropped
conversation to be had about that. Right. But so, management said, hey, you could basically there was an established pay raise that you get if you are also a masseuse. So they wouldn't have to pay for a separate masseuse to be on the planes.
Right.
It's just sort of company policy. I'm not saying it isn't weird, but I'm just saying it's kind of introduced in a weird way. After Insider contacted Musk for comment, he emailed to ask for more time to respond and said that there is a lot more to this story. Quote, if I were inclined to engage in sexual harassment, this is unlikely to be the first time in my entire 30-year career that it comes to light, he wrote, calling the story a politically motivated hit piece. Insider extended the deadline and reiterated the offer to Musk to comment on the claims. He did not respond. Reached via cell phone, SpaceX Vice President of Legal, Christopher Cardacci, said, quote, I'm not going to comment on any settlement agreements. SpaceX did not respond to requests for comment to its general media contact email address. The flight attendant told her friend that the billionaire SpaceX and Tesla founder asked her to come to his room during a flight in late 2016 for a full-body massage. The declaration says, again, the friend's declaration. When she arrived, the attendant found that Musk, quote, was completely naked except for a sheet covering the lower half of his body, which, written in an article, sounds pretty salacious. But for those who are in the masseuser industry, that's a pretty normal thing to do. Most massages are done that way. During the massage, the declaration says Musk exposed himself and then offered to buy her a horse if she would do more. Then it says here, referring to the performance of sex acts. The attendant, who rides horses, declined and continued with the massage without engaging in any sexual conduct. I think it's kind of weird detail that they just said,
why would they? Yeah, that's
weird, right? I mean, it's like, oh, she loves horses. She rides horses. And
she was exploited. Her love of horses was exploited.
That's exactly
Elon.
What's being communicated. Like, oh, Musk,
do you love horses? You do? Oh, just like that.
Well, I'll give you a horse.
Can you imagine if somebody exploited you for your love of horses? That's what Elon did here.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. So there's sort of like a power dynamic issue, which there is. There definitely is.
Yeah.
In an interview with Insider, the friends described the attendant's allegations in more detail. She spoke on the condition of anonymity, citing fears for her personal safety, but Insider is aware of her identity. Insider is also aware of the flight attendant's identity, but it is not naming her because she has claimed to be a victim of sexual misconduct. She hasn't claimed. Her friend has claimed it, but okay. She declined to comment for this story. Quote, and I'm going to stop there because it gets a little wild.
Yep.
There was a part of this. So first of all, tell me what you think about that while I find this other segment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You've been pointing out some of the more important parts, but yeah, this is
as we go.
Obviously, this is not in defense of Elon if he had anything to do with this type of activity. Number one, it wouldn't surprise me, but also if he paid them off or whatever, does it even matter at this point? The I think the takeaway at this point in time is that this came out as the hit piece for Elon because he's
2 days after
saying he's going to vote Republican and really going in hard on ESG is evil and all that kind of stuff.
Right. And which is an attack on the Great Reset, by the way. Saying ESG is BS is not just lashing out at the S&P. That is a direct attack. You have the richest man in the world tweeting a direct attack against the Great Reset, Klaus Schwab, the World Economic Forum. Of course there was going to be lashback against that.
Right. And so the details don't, I mean, they matter, but they don't, you know what I mean? Like, they like
You're
by
right.
itself, this thing matters in terms of Elon's behavior, if it is true, but at the same time, is it even true? Like, we can't really, the takeaway is we can't tell if it's true. And with the timing of everything, it's hard to believe any of it. You know what I mean? But again, this isn't in defense of Elon or defense of
it is not in the defense of Elon. Let's be clear. It is not in defense of Elon, and it's not even directly in an attack of the friend. Okay, it's not. Again, it's not the story. It's the mainstream corporate media strategy. Yeah. It's the bigger play that's going on here, and because on one side, billionaire getting massage asks for a little more in his private jet. Yeah, it's gross, but it's not surprising. Like it's unfortunate and it's sick and it's fallen and it sucks that it's not uncommon and that it's not surprising. But the fact that the friend, not the actual person, the friend just
who remains anonymous, by the way,
who remains anonymous, just happens to have signed a declaration and come out and started talking about this 2 days after he said he was going to vote Republican and trash talked the World Economic Forum, et cetera, is too much coincidence, I guess.
So what's there was something you said about the friend. What do they tell us here in this article?
Yeah, I know. I was looking for it. There was this paragraph that they snuck in there about the friend. It was more or less. Okay, here we go. Here's a part of it. Non-disclosure agreements are crucial components of. Okay, so it breaks down the problem with non-disclosure agreements. And this movement, and there was a law or two passed back during the Stormy Daniels thing, where especially in California, they outlawed non-disclosure agreements when it comes to sexual misconduct. And this actually happened 2 months after Elon, after this event allegedly happened. And so there's kind of this this close call feeling to it that they are trying to kind of communicate or at least install in the operating system of the reader that, if this only happened 2 months later, then we would have known how horrible Elon was long ago. And they do it in a pretty good job of breaking down how the infrastructure, the system that allows for continued abuse by basically rich guys to pay off people that they harass, which does not exist anymore in California. But it's all about, this is power dynamic. He's rich, you pay him off, NBA, etc.
If you kind of look at the string of our stories here in context, it's like Elon was sort of a darling of the left, and the whole part of the point of the Forbes article, we kind of got sidetracked from it, but part of the point was, the Democrats, it's the Democrats in California that made Tesla successful. It wasn't just Elon. The Democrats are to thank, and so and in that is this culture, the Silicon Valley culture. Of the kind of stuff that's now coming out as like, look at Elon's a bad person because he asked for a massage, when that's sort of built into that side of the aisle, so to speak, I guess.
That's exactly the point. Yeah. I mean, it's the massage thing. And the problem is, like, the massage thing even harkens to Epstein. You know, a lot of the Epstein stuff was done in the context of massage, so it's very inflammatory. And it's just built into the elite structure. I mean, that's just what it is. And it's really weird. And it's no surprise that Elon would take part in that in whatever way he did, if the allegations are true. I mean, he paid the woman. The payoff specifically with the NDA was to not be sued and to not talk about Elon or SpaceX or anything. But the friend comes out, has a kind of a long set of quotes that just,
she's looking out for her. She's looking out for the victim. Doesn't it say that she put it in jeopardy, like some of the...
Yeah, so here's the quote. Quote, if there were any way for her to come forward without putting herself at risk, without jeopardizing her life in any way, I believe she would, the friend of the attendant told Insider. So she's not even saying, like, the friend asked me to do this or whatever. It almost sounds like the friend is doing this without the victim's
consent.
Consent.
Yeah.
That's the weirdest part, because it doesn't even sound like she's talked to the victim about it. If there were a way for her to come forward without putting herself at risk, without jeopardizing her life in any way, I believe she would, the friend of the attendant told Insider.
So let me put you in risk and danger by telling the whole world about what happened.
Exactly.
That makes no sense.
She is the one putting the victim at risk by doing this. The quote continues, I hope she feels like I did the right thing. Okay, she obviously did not have the consent of the victim to do this. I hope she feels I said the things that she didn't feel safe enough to say. I hope, she says.
Wow.
It's just strange, man.
Yeah, that's weird.
And the article ends with, the friend told Insider that if anyone else was mistreated by Musk, she hopes they will publicly tell their story. If there are other victims, she said, quote, I would like for them to come forward. I would like for the truth to be revealed. Okay, or what? Or you want, they might not do it, but do you want their friends to do it for them? Like, it's just so weird. The whole thing is so weird, with the friend basically seemingly doing this in some sort of, social justice warrior capacity without the permission of the victim. We saw this. Who else was? I forget. There's an Epstein example of this, where the problem was, when it was the friend doing it, coming out and telling the story, there was sort of no legal recourse, and it just kind of only serves as a news story. And I think that's the problem.
Right.
There's nobody can sue here. Nobody can, go after Elon in a legal way. It is only and principally a news story for news sake, for the sabotage.
Political purposes.
Exactly. So anyways, that's way too much talking about that, but there you go. You had something about the ESG thing, right? Or
we covered it.
The ESG is a scam. It has been weaponized by phony social justice warriors.
Elon saying that is a, again, as I mentioned earlier, it feels like hijacking a sentiment. So
right. And along with that, the S&P, ESG index specifically cited these types of misconduct claims as the reason for dropping him from the ESG index.